So remind, if the reminder should benefit. Surah 87 verse 9.
तो तुम नसीहत करो अगर नसीहत फायदा दे। सूरह 87 आयत 9।
The sun and the moon are by an exact calculation. Surah 55 verse 5. He is the one who has made the sun a glow, and the moon a light, and determined for its stages, so that you may learn the number of the years, and the calculation of time. Allah has created all this with a rightful purpose. He elaborates the signs for those who understand. Surah 10 verse 5. We have made night and day as two signs. We made the sign of the night devoid of light, and made the sign of the day radiant, that you may seek the bounty of your Lord, and that you may know the number and count of the years. All things have we explained in detail. Surah 17 verse 12. In Quran, the beginning of Surah Kahf tells the story of one of the greatest miracles in the history of mankind. In the 3rd century, 7 young Christians known in the Quran as the companions of the cave fell asleep in the cave for 300 solar years by God's grace to escape persecution from pagan king who wanted to force them to reject the absolute oneness of God. This story is mentioned in verses 9 to 26. Verse 25 tells how many years the youths slept in the cave. Verse 25 of Surah Kahf is written in a very peculiar way since it separates 300 solar years. 300 sineen equals plural of sanat equals solar years, to which 9 have to be added. God does not specify directly if we are dealing with 9 solar or lunar years.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9
اور وہ اپنے غار میں 300 سال رہے اور انہوں نے 9 سال اور بڑھا دیے.
They remained in the cave for 300 years, and others added 9 more years.
300 and added 9. Why 300 and added 9? The word year is written in 2 radically different ways in the Quran. Words sanat and am. Each of these singular words occurs 7 times in the Quran. Solar year or Shamsi Sal is called sanat, and lunar year or Qamri Sal is called am. The root word for sunat is sana, which means to blaze, to flash, to brighten. In Surah 24 verse 43 we find the same root word, and have the example of the lightning which brightens so much that it takes away the eyesight. Therefore, the word sanat carries the idea of intense light, like the sun. For this very reason, it consistently refers to or symbolizes a solar year in the Quran. One obvious example that sanat is solar year or Shamsi Sal is verse 15 of Surah 46. The root word of am is on, which means 1 year. One obvious example that am means lunar year or Qamri Sal is verse 37 of Surah 9. Since sanat is the symbol of a solar year or Shamsi Sal, we can logically expect that am is the symbol of a lunar year or Qamri Sal in the Quran. The common people do not distinguish between the Sunnat and Am, making them both to have the same meaning. In verse 14 of Surah 29, the age of Prophet Noah, described in solar year Shamsi Sals and lunar years Qamri Sals, and for that the word Sanat and the word Am are used. Muslim scholars have interpreted the 300 years mentioned in verse 25 of Surah Al-Kahf from the solar Gregorian calendar and the 309 years from the Hijri lunar calendar. Let's look at the hidden calculation about this. First way of calculation, solar Gregorian calendar equals 365 days. Lunar Hijri calendar equals 354 days. Difference of days, 1 year, equals 365 minus 354 equals 11 days. Difference of days, 300 years, equals 11 multiplied by 300 equals 3300 days. 1 solar Gregorian year equals 365 days. Therefore, 3300 days divided by 365 days equals 9.04 years. 9 years. 300 and add 9. Second way of calculation, Gregorian calendar or solar calendar, equals 365.2422 days. Hijri calendar or lunar calendar, equals 354.36056 days. 300 Gregorian calendar equals 300 multiplied by 365.2422 equals 109,572.66 days. 300 Hijri calendar equals 300 multiplied by 354.36056 equals 106,310.11 days. Difference of days equals 109,572.66 minus 106,310.11 equals 3,262.55 days. 3,262.55 divided by 354.36056 equals 9.20 Hijri or lunar calendar. 9 years. To put it another way, 300 years of Gregorian or solar calendar is equal to 300 plus 9 years of Hijri or lunar calendar. Verification with number 19. The numbers inside Quran are always clean and exact without something behind the comma. Following are the numbers inside Quran: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 19, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 99, 100, 200, 300, 1000, 2000, 3000, 5000, 50,000 and 100,000. If you add all of those numbers, then total equals 162,146, which is divisible by 19. 162,146 divided by 19 equals 8,534. But if you put 309 in place of 300, then total equals 162,155. And it won't be divisible by 19. 162,155 divided by 19 equals 8,534.4736. Surely now you have understood verse 25 of Surah Al-Kahf.
ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9.
They remained in the cave for 300 solar years and others added 9 more years. It means, those who calculated their stay by Hijri or lunar calendar, their calculation was 309 lunar years. Sineen is the plural of sanat.
قل الله أعلم بما لبثوا.
कह दो कि जितनी मुद्दत वो रहे उसे अल्लाह ही खूब जानता है.
Say, Allah knows best how long they remained in it.
The thing to consider in verse 26 of Surah Al-Kahf is that in this verse, Allah says that He knows best how long they, companions of the cave, remained in their cave, although Allah has stated in verse 25 of Surah Al-Kahf that they, companions of the cave, remained in their cave for 300 years. Why so? Let's understand that difference in days. 1 solar year equals 365.2422 days. 1 lunar year equals 354.36056 days. 300 solar year equals 300 multiplied by 365.2422 days equals 109,572.66 days. 309 lunar year equals 309 multiplied by 354.36056 days equals 109,497.41 days. Difference of days equals 109,572.66 minus 109,497.41 equals 75.24 days. 75.24 days. In verse 25, God clearly stated the fact when He established that they stayed in their cave a total of 300 solar years and they add 9. Thus focusing on the relationship between 300 solar years and 309 lunar years in number of years. But in verse 26 He also added that He knows best how long they stayed, implying that He knows perfectly that the correspondence, 300 solar years equals 309 lunar years, is not perfectly accurate when it comes to the number of days. There is a difference of about 75.24 days between 300 solar years and 309 lunar years.
This is the blessed book that we have revealed to you, that people with understanding may reflect over its verses and those with understanding derive a lesson. Surah 38 verse 29.
If all the trees on earth become pens, and the sea replenished by 7 more seas were to supply them with ink, the words of Allah would not be finished. Verily Allah is most mighty, most wise. Surah 31 verse 27. Visit www.najibsiddiqui.com for more information about companions of the cave. Good luck.